Before the All-Star break, Josh Giddey was having a pretty underwhelming season for the Bulls, averaging under 13 points per game while having a negative plus-minus. But over the last 12 games, Giddey has looked like a totally different player, where the ball is now in his hands, and he's been running the show in Chicago. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive on the stats and film to see what's exactly changed for Giddey over this past month. Now, the foundation for Josh's game has always been to put pressure on the rim. With the ball, I wouldn't say Giddey has overwhelming speed or quickness, but he makes up for that with his strength. When playing downhill, Josh loves to seek out contact. If he gets the defensive stance to open up, he's dropping that shoulder and bumping his way to the basket. We'll see him here attacking hard across the baseline, and watch him lower that shoulder and chuck Wendell Carter across the paint, to then gather off 2 feet and explode to the rim. Now with the ball, I wouldn't say Giddey has the shiftiest handle. He's not going to string together combos and rack up a bunch of highlights, but he is very good at capitalizing on angles and pick and roll, as well as using his quickness to go at mismatches. I like this move against Thomas Bryant, where off the catch, Giddey's going to shift his way over to his left foot and push the ball across to his right. Then he's going to veer back and step through contact and muscle up this floater. We'll see him make the same move here off the catch, where Giddey's going to again transfer his way to his left foot to then attack the defense's top foot with a crossover. So because Giddey has so much strength when playing downhill, that naturally gives him really good body control, being comfortable elevating and adjusting in the air, as well as use different spins on the floor to create finishing angles. Watch him turn on the jets off the screen, and when he feels this drop big stance open up, Giddey's going to take one hard pound dribble and spin back over towards the middle. And then all this physicality and body control also carries over to his floater game, where he's got a duffel bag of different ways to set these looks up. First, Giddey loves to initiate contact on the floor, which knocks the defense off balance and gives him windows to elevate. But second, Giddey also has really good deceleration by attacking hard downhill to then pop up for a vertical finish. And these are both ways Josh can sneak up looks past bigger and more athletic defenders.
Tough drive by Josh Giddey.
So in the half court, the next thing we have to go over is Giddey's play out of pick and roll, because this has been the main foundation to his game over this past month. Like we've gone over, Josh doesn't really have the most dynamic handle, but when working off these screens, it's easy for him to get the defense on his hip, to then use that strength to bump and chisel his way towards the basket. Chicago loves to use these ghost screens for him, which are primarily meant to get the defense out of position, creating more clean driving lines. Notice here how Derrick Jones is trying to ice the screen towards the sideline, and the screener doesn't make contact, and Josh can simply bump him across the lane to draw the and one.
Giddey. Contact and one.
And like you just saw, Giddey off the dribble is very good at capitalizing on the angles the defense gives him. If they overplay the screen, he can refuse it and charge downhill. If the big man steps up and plays aggressive, he has no problem splitting and slicing his way towards the basket. And then if the big man sits back and drop, he's also got the pace to put his man in jail and snake it back over towards the same side. So that pace and physicality, combined with that elite floater game, makes Josh a really good in-between scorer out of pick and roll. He can bump his way towards the basket, stop short for floaters, and use his handle to capitalize on the defense being out of position. And then all that scoring also opens up Giddey's passing game. When playing downhill, Josh being able to score at the rim and from around 10 to 12 feet often forces the defense to collapse, opening up easy playmaking windows. Because Giddey has so much control in the paint, that naturally makes him a really good passer in traffic, where he can find these tight windows to make deliveries. We'll see him here first use that strength to send his man to the floor, to then pick up and also pull this big across the paint, opening up the sick behind the back pass.
Dick trying to draw the charge.
And Josh is also great at weaponizing his scoring to create passing windows. Watch him here decelerate with these 2 strides, to then pick up and pull this big up, clearing up the rim for a lob pass. And because Giddey stands at 6'8", he can also use that height to see over the defense and drop more dimes. He's being defended here by Scotty Barnes and drop. And watch Josh simply pick up and parachute this pass right over the top. And that size also carries over to Giddey's playmaking from the perimeter, where he's got the height to see over the backline defense and snap these cross-court passing reads. Now the next thing we have to look at is Giddey's play out in transition. Chicago so far this year is averaging over 30 points per game on the break, which ranks them second across the NBA. And Giddey's scoring and creation with the ball has obviously played a big factor in that. Now, pretty much all the tools we saw Josh use in the half court carry over to his bag in transition. Again, Josh has really good balance and body control when playing with the head of steam, which allows him to keep his base while dealing with contact, and hit some pretty tough moves without breaking stride.
Just in rhythm.
We'll see KCP here lunge for a steal, and without breaking his momentum, Giddey's going to float into another spin, to then immediately gather and get to this tough reverse layup. This is by far my favorite dribble move of the entire video, where Josh is going to get to this cross jab by pushing the ball across to his left hand first, then planting that right foot second. And notice how this gets Bridge is leaning, giving Josh the angle to explode to his left. And Josh can also unleash that floater game in the open court, where again everything comes back to him initiating contact to create scoring windows. We'll see him here pick up ahead of steam, to then throw that shoulder into contact and rise up for a floater at the free throw line. So on the break, Giddey can be a real handful to deal with. Again, that strength, balance, and body control allows him to overwhelm the backpedaling defense. And similar to what we saw in the half court, all that scoring pressure forces the defense to build up a wall, which then opens up all that playmaking.
Giddey steal the lob and the finish.
And what I love about Giddey's passing reads in the open court is that he's very willing to give the ball early. If he has teammates leaking out in front, he has no problem advancing the ball and giving them advantages to attack. And simple kick ahead passes like this put a ton of pressure on the defense. Now with the ball, there is one main limiting factor to Giddey's game, and that's going to be his outside shooting, and more specifically shooting off the dribble. When combining all of Giddey's pull-ups in the mid-range and behind the three, he's attempting just over one shot off the dribble per game, and that low volume simply shows that he's not comfortable taking shots off the dribble. Now to be fair, I don't think Giddey adding a mid-range game will really move the needle much. He's already got that floater game, plus the strength to bump his way to the basket. But from three, I think Josh taking simple one dribble pulls off the screen will take his game to a totally new level. And I'm not saying that Josh needs to become Steph Curry and start launching 30-foot bombs, but him just simply stopping and popping jumpers and punishing any kind of soft coverage would be huge for his game, because that outside threat will then force the defense to step up and play aggressive, making it easier for him to turn the corner and play in the paint. And when shooting off the dribble, I do think Josh has good mechanics, having a stable base and efficiently getting the ball to his pocket and set point. I think it really comes down to him looking to take more of these shots that open up.
Giddey launches the three. Nailed.
Now when playing off the ball, Giddey has brought a ton of value as a spot-up shooter, where so far this year he's shooting a career high on catch and shoot threes, while being on a heater over his past 12 games. Because Josh has more of a set shot, it's easier for him to find his space spotting up, and typically most of the looks he gets are pretty wide open. And while I wouldn't say Giddey right now is an elite outside shooter, his numbers have been steadily climbing up since his rookie year, and he's starting to develop into an above average spot-up shooter. So right now, I think this is easily the best version of Josh Giddey we've ever seen. He's been consistently getting in the lane and generating offense, as well as being a really good creator out of pick and roll and in the open court. I think the next step for Giddey going forward is to get more confident with taking threes off the dribble. I think that's really the final piece to his game, because Giddey's already a highly skilled 6'8" point guard, and if he can add that off the dribble shooting, the rest of the NBA may have a problem. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments who the kid should break down next. The kid's here.